Chad, you're a two-time graduate of Florida State. You were a student in the circus. You became assistant director, and now for the last 13 years, you've been the director of the FSU Flying High Circus. How did the circus become such an integral part of your entire life?
Kind of by accident, honestly, to start with. So as a freshman, I took a class, a circus class. Had no idea what I was getting into.
On purpose, or as I'm just going to take a class?
It's kind of on purpose, just like I registered for it and everything else. So we had it's like a PE credit class. We took a 1-hour class. A friend of mine that I was a lifelong friend with, came to school with, could ride a unicycle. And he convinced me to go to this class with him. So registered for that. And in that time, we took the class to kind of, it was kind of like a long-term, like kind of informal audition process, sort of. Like they get you involved in acts and things like that. So that's how it started. And obviously, it's a very interesting, unique kind of activity to begin with. So that appeal. But I think what really drew me in was as we progressed past the class into the spring semester, and you have this team that you're working with, and then you get to kind of know the rest of that kind of community, which is to be kind of eclectic, very, very different kind of group. And just found kind of a little home there, and that's kind of what was the appeal. More so, probably more so than the activity itself. Obviously, all that stuff is fun, but the friends and everyone that I made along the way was really kind of what kind of logged me in.
How did you go from being a student to being the assistant director?
That was just kind of timely as well. As our operation worked back then, we've changed it a little bit since then, but students really had a hand in training and coaching each other. Again, we've kind of gone away from that a little bit, but at that time it allowed us to kind of like work and know kind of how to run the operation to an extent, as much as you can as a student. And so I had a pretty good kind of foundation of knowledge, I think, when I graduated. And it just happened that our assistant director at the time, who was kind of our main kind of head coach, if you will, retired, and they hired me for some.
Awesome. So now you're the director, but I don't think most Seminoles, we all know we have a circus. We're all proud of being one of only 2 schools in the country to have a circus, but I would be willing to bet most Noles don't know what constitutes our circus. We're not Barnum and Bailey. We don't have animals. There's not fire. What constitutes the Florida State version of the Flying High Circus?
Okay, so that's a good question. We have a lot of elements I think you would find in a professional show, minus animals, as you mentioned. So it's kind of but we have a lot of traditional elements too, just from like an act standpoint. Like,
what is traditional in circus?
Flying trapeze, obviously, and honestly, you have the acrobatic and aerial acts, clowning, the ringmaster, those types of parts of a show. That's what we have in ours, right? The acts acts that you may not even see in like contemporary shows, we've kind of retained over the years. And we rotate our acts out, but we've had a lot of the wire acts, skating, the 5 for 5. So some of the acts that we ran in literally in the 40s, we're still running today. And some of those have been cycled out in professional shows a little bit.
Awesome. How does Florida State support the circus? How much do you have to raise support? How much does the university back you? What goes into being a college circus from that perspective?
Again, that's a really good question. We generate our own operating revenue.
Okay.
So from an expense standpoint, from our shows, our summer engagements, like summer camps, we've had a long relationship with Callaway Gardens, where we do camp and shows there. Shows. So with those and camp and shows, basically, that's throughout the course of the year. That's how we generate our revenue.
So you make most of your revenue during the summer to last you throughout the year, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, and in our shows. We do 2 fall show series. We do one for family weekend. We do one for Halloween. We just wrapped that up this past weekend. And our spring shows, which are historically our big footprint. We do 3 weekends of that.
Yeah, we can't get tickets. It's impossible. I try every year. I got 2 and 3-year-olds. I'm trying to come, and I can't get there. You guys are popular.
I know a guy.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's how we generate our revenue, and that drives how we operate, honestly, and how our whole operation functions.
Cool.
We always have that in mind. Now we do get some A&S fee money from student fees that kind of goes into helping with our salary lines,
Okay.
that sort of thing. But that's really it. We're very proud of like being able to kind of be self-sufficient in a large degree.
We're proud anytime an alumnus comes home, stays home. But, you're an alumnus, class of 98,
Correct.
and then you got your masters as well. Okay, you got 3 kids that are future Knowles here, and they'll be coming to the circus program, yes or no?
Debatable at
Okay.
the moment. We'll see. There's
Okay.
still some work to be done there.
So going down that route, how do you recruit? Is it literally students just like you who signed up for a 1-hour class to check a box of what is mandatory to graduate? Or do you go out and recruit students who are gymnasts and say, hey, I know you're coming to Florida State, come be a part of our circus?
Well, yeah, so we do, most of the students don't have any kind of experience. So we do a pretty big recruiting drive on campus at the first 2 weeks of every fall semester, and we have an audition series after that. So we cast a pretty wide net. We have about as many as 300 students auditioning for the show.
Really?
Yeah, and so the good thing about it is that it's a multidisciplinary type of event, right?
Sure.
Endeavor, I guess you could say, where we do need gymnasts, but that's a minimal number, honestly.
Okay.
We need dancers, we need people with theater experience, we just need people who are like maybe generally athletic, or, so there's all kinds of parts and roles for different people.
Is it still as eclectic as when you were a student?
Oh yeah.
Or is it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I would say the complexion of students, just in general, is different. They're way more, oh gosh, how would you say this? I'll say professional. It doesn't but they
Sure.
have a better idea what they want to do. So that kind of
Uh-huh.
changes the complexion of how we can approach it as well. I've found at least. But yeah, so we look for a lot of different kinds of students because we need different roles. It's not unlike casting a kind of a complex play where you have just different parts that you have to fill.
What's the hardest part to fill? What's the hardest act to get someone to be good at?
Oh gosh.
I'm not getting on a trapeze. I don't care what you tell me. It's not happening.
Yeah, fair enough. We can do it. We can make it happen.
Okay, well, I don't trust the net below. I trust me in the trapeze. I don't trust the net below. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Perfectly safe, however. So we have specific rules that are hard to find. They're not I wouldn't say they're necessarily more difficult, but maybe particular skill sets are hard. Some acts hurt. Some acts are painful, and you have to kind of work through that. We have an act we call aerial cradle, which is where you have a bass that is suspended by an apparatus with his knees and locked under his feet, and he swings by his knees, and he swings in person. It doesn't feel great initially, and it takes a little bit of time to train that. Someone who's willing to kind of endure that.
Sure.
So that's a particular type of skill that we have that's sometimes difficult to cast. But that's just one off the top of my head. But it's sometimes you just
It depends upon the year and the group,
yeah,
I guess it sounds
run
like.
into a situation where, hey, we're having a hard time finding trapeze catchers. So so it's just different from year to year. But
Sure.
like I said, we cast a pretty big net to kind of cover everything, hopefully.
COVID impacted everybody, shut everything down. How are you going to come out in spring 22 specifically? How are you moving forward, coming out of COVID? Are you changing anything? Are you going right back to what worked for you beforehand? How is the return? Everybody knows what we dealt with. What's the return going to be like?
Okay, so the return, we started in the summer, and we brought about 30 students in, most of which who were returners.
Mm-hmm.
Some had not even stepped out on, they worked with us via Zoom.
Sure.
So that's a little different. We brought them in, we did a little work for about 7 weeks to kind of build up kind of a base core show that we could then do our fall series. And we're still doing that. But it's limiting, we lose basically 2 years of graduates without the incoming students. So you have that kind of it's not necessarily a talent gap, but you should have like an institutional knowledge. Right? The students can't
It's
tell.
invaluable.
Right, they don't know what to tell each other, really. So we're running through that a little bit. From an ability standpoint, a lot of us are just starting from ground zero, and we're having to build that up. But we just jumped right back in. In the fall, we were able to kind of just resume as normal. So we have a full cast again. It's just, managing a lot of development in a very, very particular way, knowing that a lot of our students haven't had any experience whatsoever. So.
Last question. This spring will be the 75th anniversary of the Flying High Circus. What do you have planned to celebrate that? And how is that going to springboard you to the future? What's coming in spring with the 75th?
Right, it's a big one. again, you covered my dates already, but as a student, I was in the 50th anniversary, and that was a big deal. We had a lot of alumni here, and can only assume 25 years later, with 25 more years of alumni, that'll also be the case. So we're planning ahead to make, particularly our final weekend, a big event, specifically for our circus alumni. Although the whole show series will be big, with just kind of recognizing and talking about the 75th throughout the course. For our circus alumni specifically, we're going to have a whole gala weekend where we have we're able to kind of like promote our vision for the next 25 years. I don't know that I'll be here for the next 25, but the circus certainly will be. We want to make sure like we are using this, like you said, as a springboard to get to that point. To
Funding, new people, new facility.
Absolutely, facility big one, because we've been working in what is a warehouse for since the 60s. Honestly, we're very proud of our big top 10. It's beautiful, but there's some other upgrades we need to make, and for the benefit of our students and honestly our alumni as well. And the 75th will be a good opportunity to do that, not only to kind of showcase and for like coming back from COVID, all those things really culminating in this event. We're looking forward to it.
If people want to learn more about the circus, where do they go?
Circus website's our best place. Circus.fsu.edu is our website. We have our social media links are on there as well, and we're pretty active there.
Awesome. Rapid fire Seminole questions to finish. Short answer, yes or no, best you can.
Okay.
Okay. There are right answers, but there's not wrong answers here.
All right, ready.
All right. Garnet or gold?
Garnet.
Correct answer. Beat Florida or beat Miami?
Miami.
Oh, we got to talk about that.
Okay.
All right. Favorite spot on campus?
Circus too easy. I can't.
That's home for you.
Yeah, I would say it used to be when Oglesby Union, when they used to have the video game.
Oh, the arcade
within the bowling alley.
Absolutely, that was good. The bowling alley. There's a lot of people nodding along right now in their cars and right now. Listen to this. Favorite Florida State tradition?
I can't answer circus for always, can I? Okay. I don't know. I can't think of one besides circus. I'm locked in the.
That's fine.
I'm locked in the fence.
You can stick with it.
Okay, I'll say circus.
Okay. And this one's easy to finish. Florida State in a single word.
Home.
Great answer. Great answer. Chad Matthews, thanks for being a part of Echoes today. Thank you for leading what is a proud institution for a lot of Florida State people to be able to say, outside of just baseball season, when the baseballs get hit under the tent, that's something we're proud of. That's something that we can stand on that nobody else really has across the country. Thanks for your time, and thanks for being an alumnus.
Thank you for having me.
Go Noles.